The Amazing Digital Circus is a really good show, and I mean a really good show. Welcome to the Absurds, my name is GiBi, and while what I usually do is literature analysis, the fact that the show isn't over yet means I can't write a long script about what it means. That will come later, I hope. If I hate the finale, I might not be able to get myself to do it. So today, we're not going to be analyzing the show, I'm going to be predicting the ending. Wait, don't leave. This is not film theory. This is not a game theory where we're gonna look at the lore and try to predict where it's going. We're gonna actually look at the way that stories are structured and how I think the show's gonna end, assuming that it actually uses the things that it's built up to end with. So let's begin. In episode 1 of the Amazing Digital Circus, Pomni arrives in the circus, doesn't understand what's happening, thinks it's a dream. The others tell her that she can't leave, she then sees an exit and asks about it, but Caine says the exit isn't real.
I assure you, there is no magical exit door.
Ragatha, Jax, and Pomni head off to meet Kaufmo, and Ragatha exposits that they each have their own little room, even though they technically don't have to sleep.
Even though we don't really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know?
Ragatha then explains that they go on Caine's adventures because if they don't, there's a consequence. And I don't mean that Caine consequences them. I mean that you could lose your mind.
And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen. Above anything else, the adventures give us something to do that keeps our minds healthy and stimulated.
After some banter where we learn that Jax steals keys and Ragatha's afraid of centipedes, Jax opens the door to Kaufmo's room, and he has clearly gone insane, thinking about an exit. And going insane in this world means turning into a giant monster covered with eyeballs. The characters refer to this as abstraction. Kaufmo attacks Ragatha, she starts to glitch, Pomni tries to help her, but she starts to glitch too. Kaufmo chases Pomni down the hallway. Pomni finds the exit that she saw in the beginning of the episode, she goes into the void, Caine saves her. He puts the abstracted Kaufmo into the cellar with a bunch of other abstracted people. Caine fixes Ragatha's glitching and tells everyone that the exit that Kaufmo and Pomni saw was real. But it was not a real exit, it was something he was designing for a future adventure because he wanted to appeal to their wishes, and they were always talking about an exit. He never finished the game, so that's why it led to the void.
I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
The camera then zooms out beyond the void to the same office that Pomni saw earlier, with the computer and the VR headset, and we assume that this is how Pomni actually entered the circus. And that is episode 1. Now that we've discussed episode 1, and if you've watched episode 1, you've met all the characters, we need to discuss the thing that many of you have been waiting for / dreading me to bring up this entire video so far. And that is, I have no mouth and I must scream. If you've watched any Amazing Digital Circus video on the internet, then this story has come up, because it is very overtly an inspiration for the series. I Have No Mouth is about a world where a supercomputer has taken over the planet and there's only 5 humans left alive. The computer hates humans because it cannot feel, so it tortures them for eternity. The computer, called Am, as in I am that I am because it considers itself to be God, can do anything because supercomputer. So it keeps the humans alive and keeps them in pain. It sends them out on these little quests, these little missions in order to torment them. And what the humans discover toward the end of the story is that even though they normally can't die, due to the exact circumstances that have led them to the climax of the story, they can. And so one of them kills the other 4. He is now the sole plaything that Am has. This makes Am furious, and he disfigures and tortures and torments the lone survivor for eternity. But as the last living thing in the world, he's okay with this, because he knows that he won by depriving Am of the other 4 and saving them. In the Amazing Digital Circus, Caine would be Am, an artificial intelligence who is also God. The others are like the surviving humans, but instead of Am torturing them, Caine plays with them. He gives them fun little adventures. The humans still want to escape, meaning that if the show were to parallel I Have No Mouth for its finale, One person would likely be left behind in the circus forever to play Caine's games, while the others would be freed. But I don't think that's how it's gonna end. While this is a clear inspiration, I specifically do not think we can use I Have No Mouth to predict the ending the way that I just said. Yes, Caine is very Am-y in premise, but he's nothing like him in character. Am is a very vengeful and angry god that can't feel anything. But Caine is emotional. He just wants to bring people joy.
Making adventures is my art! It's all I exist to do, all I'm good at. And, what you're saying could imply that I'm bad at the only thing I'm good at, and that... that'd be...
Caine is much more in line with the typical rogue AI trope that you'll see in other pieces of science fiction, where he really wants to comply with his programming to the detriment of everything else, opposed to Am, who is sentient and is doing what he wants to do with a will of his own. Famous examples of Caine's type of AI would be like the paperclip thought experiment, where you tell an AI to make paperclips, and soon every single thing on the planet is either a paperclip or a paperclip-making machine. There's also the much more commonly cited trope of telling an AI to bring about world peace, and so it nukes the planet to kill all the people because it's people who cause wars. Caine is told by his programming to make fun little adventures for the humans, and so he does. He makes fun little adventures, even though the humans aren't having fun. And as Pomni tells him in episode 8,
You just don't listen!
basically any artificial intelligence you interact with that doesn't have current access to the internet has a date that it stopped receiving new information. So the idea would be that Caine, when he was created, then stopped being able to receive new information. This is why he can't really take feedback from the human players. He's more like a video game, like if you were to play a role-playing game. In a video game, the game is just what the creators designed. In real life, the dungeon master can change the story or change the gameplay to fit what the characters actually prefer. Caine would be more like the video game DM. As my friend Fazbear Entertainment says, Caine has a large mouth and he can scream, but he doesn't have ears, so he can't hear. Fazbear Entertainment is the name of a YouTuber who covers FNAF. I was not saying I'm friends with the fictional company Fazbear Entertainment, who makes the Scary Bears. I make Scary Bears, though. I have a Scary Bear shirt. This is a parody of Super Metroid, but it's from Scary Bear. It's non-copyright infringing Scary Bear merch. You can buy it on my merch store. Despite the connection to I Have No Mouth, and despite the song that Caine sings in episode 8...
Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth!
I still don't think that Caine is Am in a literal sense. Again, the premise of the show is, what if Am threw fun parties? It's a cool concept, but I think there's a little more going on here. I think the thing we really need to look into to predict the ending of the Amazing Digital Circus is the play No Exit. No Exit is a 1944 play about 3 people who die and are sent to a random room to await their eternal torture. The first character we meet is Garçon, who I'm going to call Garçon this entire time because I'm not good at pronouncing French good. Garçon is brought into a waiting room by a demon, or a devil as the play calls him. Garçon then learns there that they don't need to sleep.
One never sleeps, I take it.
That's so.
No, of course not. Why should one sleep? It's life. Without a break.
Garçon thinks that this must be what it's like to not be alive. He notes that the demon isn't blinking. You don't need to blink or sleep when you're dead.
Your eyelids. We move ours up and down. Blinking, we call it. 4,000 little rests per hour. 4,000 little respites. Just think.
He thinks that blinking is a little bit like having a little break of consciousness, the way that sleeping is a break of consciousness between days.
No eyelids. No sleep. It follows, doesn't it? I shall never sleep again.
So their torture is just going to be life, existence, but without those breaks. The lights in this room can't be turned off, so they're just going to sit there, forever. Then the demon returns, now with Inez. She thinks at first that Garçon is the torturer, and that part of her suffering will be separation from her partner.
Where's Florence?
I've no idea.
Oh, that's the way it works. Torture by separation.
Garçon informs her that he's not a demon, he's a resident, just like her.
Why, you're the torturer, of course.
You think I'm one of the staff?
Inez tries to leave, but Garçon informs her that the door is locked. She asks him if he has to be there, and he says yes, and tells her that they should probably be polite to each other since they're going to be stuck here. And she says that she's not polite.
Well, I can quite understand that it bores you having me here. Quite frankly, I'd rather be alone myself. I want to think things out, set my life in order. One does that better by oneself. But I do suggest that we make a point of being extremely courteous to each other.
I'm not polite.
Oh, then I must be polite for two.
Garçon has been characterized thus far as being a little snobbish, a little stuck in his ways. He loves art, but Inez says that she's not polite. She's going to get on his nerves. The demon then returns with the final member of their trio, Estelle, who is quite bougie and actually orders the demon around like he was a concierge at a hotel. Concierge. I'm not good at French stuff. Concierge. She tells Garçon that she wants him to move because she wants to sit on the bench he's on because it matches her dress better, and he obliges because he's so polite.
Possibly expect me to sit on that one?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, the seat. Yes, of course. Please take it.
Inez then starts complimenting Estelle's appearance. She made a comment earlier to Garçon about not being married, and the implication, which is soon to be confirmed, is that she's a lesbian. Inez deduces that there will be no torture. Maybe there's a shortage of demons, and so the three of them were specifically picked to torture one another. She says that staring at Estelle's beauty for eternity would be like torture for her.
That each of us is going to act as torturer to the other two.
Garçon immediately accepts this theory and says that they should approach it pragmatically. He says that if the demon's intention was for them to torture one another, then they simply should not interact. They'll sit in silence with their backs to each other and not speak whatsoever. Estelle then asks if she has to be silent too, because she doesn't want to be silent.
Each of us must stay on his own seat and take no notice of the others. Also, we mustn't speak, not a word.
Have I got to keep silent too?
Yes.
So while Garçon is trying to be quiet, Estelle starts to chit-chat with Inez, who tells her that she'll be kind to her if they kiss, and Estelle says no.
I'm going to be nice to you. Very nice. But you must be nice to me.
I don't make friends with women very easily.
Estelle says that she usually gets a lot of male attention, and so she wants attention from Garçon, who, again, doesn't want to interact with them whatsoever, because he thinks that if he does, it would be like torture. These interactions continue for about 30 pages of script. Inez says that she'll be polite to Estelle if she lets her kiss her. Estelle says that she doesn't want to kiss her, she likes men, and so she wants to be with Garçon, and Garçon says he doesn't want to do any of that, he wants to sit there in silence. He says Inez is better than Estelle because at least she isn't bothering him. Eventually, Garçon tries to break out of the door because he's been driven so mad by the endless discussions. The door actually opens. Staring through it, they realize that they don't necessarily want to face what's out there. Estelle tries to push Inez through so that she can be alone with Garçon, but Garçon stops her, because he'd rather have Inez than Estelle. He'd rather have both of them than just be stuck alone with Estelle. They close the door willingly. Garçon then says the quote that the play is best known for.
Do you remember all the stories they told us about the fire and brimstone and the torture chambers and the burning mall? Old wives' tales. There's no need for red-hot pokers. Hell is other people.
Estelle has had enough and tells Garçon that she wants him right now. And he says no, he can never do that to Inez. Estelle says that if that's the case, she'll kill Inez, and so she takes a sharp letter opener and stabs her. And Inez starts laughing, because she can't die, they're already dead.
We are here forever.
Saying it out loud makes them all realize the truth. They're dead and they'll be here for eternity. They all laugh at the realization, realizing that they're screwed and that their situation is absurd. The play ends with Garçon saying,
Well, let's get on with it.
As in, let's get on with eternity. The story's about three people, perfectly picked for one another, to torment each other, stuck in one room for eternity. If this premise seems familiar to you, but you're not a big fan of French plays from 1944, it's probably because this play was adapted into the show The Good Place, where four people are specifically chosen to spend eternity together to torture one another. The twist in that show being that while they're told they're in the good place, at the end of season 1, they determine that they're actually in the bad place.
But just now, as we were all fighting, I thought
thought to myself, man, this is torture.
This is the bad place.
The show then goes on for 3 more seasons of varying quality. The Amazing Digital Circus is about a group of people trapped somewhere forever with a desire to leave, but as we're told in episode 1, there is no exit. Throughout the show, there is an antagonistic force, Caine playing a role similar to Am from Eye of No Mouth, but almost all of the conflict actually comes from the interpersonal relationships between the characters and their own personality flaws. While within the universe it's clear that these people arrived at the circus through random chance, that doesn't mean that on a writing level, the creator didn't develop their personalities to perfectly torment one another. So let's look at their predicament. First, they don't have to sleep. This is established in episode 1. There's also discomfort when it comes to their physical forms. An aspect of No Exit is that they can never really get comfortable in their seats. There's nowhere in the room to sit down, there's nowhere in the room to lie down comfortably, and they can't sleep. There's a constant pain to just being, well, they're not alive, but there's a constant pain just to existing. And we know that this is also true for Gangle and Zooble because they state it pretty often. They hate their bodies, or aspects of the physical bodies that they have. Pomni never complains about her body, but personality-wise, she's very timid. She wants everyone to get along. She wants to help others, but doesn't always know if she can. But her physical form is that of a jester, the exact opposite of her personality. The extrovert compared to an introvert. The person wanting to be center of attention versus her timid trembling. The I'm gonna hurt myself to make you laugh versus the I'm gonna help you to make you feel better. This applies for the other physical forms as well. Ragatha's is easy. She gets injured and hurt a lot. Her button eye almost resembles having a black eye.
Can't exactly die. It's like the whole thing here.
Some adventures end with her being totally disfigured. She was abused as a child, so her physical form here being something that's easy to abuse is probably not good for her. Kinger's hard because he's not in his right state of mind, so it's difficult to know what kind of person he truly was before he went mad. It's likely that he's represented by a king chess piece because he basically made the circus. I know it's more complicated than that, you can calm down. But it's almost like he's supposed to be the leader, but is incapable of actually having that role, so being a king chess piece is ironic. Jax's design actually fits his personality really well. He's supposed to be the funny one, so he looks like Bugs Bunny. He seems to be the most comfortable in his body, which makes sense because he's the foil to the rest of the characters. So immediately, without even getting into their adventures, the physical forms that they're forced to take are painful and not what they would desire to be. And that seems pretty no exit-y to me. Now let's look at the characterization of the cast of Amazing Digital Circus, and see if these people are stuck together for eternity with the exact group of people who will cause them the most suffering. Our characters are Pomni, Jax, Ragatha, Zooble, Gangle, and Kinger. And we're going to make a web of their interactions and interpersonal relationships. Let's start with how Pomni interacts with everyone. Pomni and Zooble never talk to each other in any meaningful way. Okay. Pomni and Gangle. While their interactions really boil down to their talk in the fast food episode, where Pomni offers Gangle advice after making a sarcastic quip.
We're doing another one of these.
I think where they really butt heads is the way that the two sides of their respective personalities manifest. Pomni is timid, but through her interactions with other characters and the circumstances at the circus, she gets more and more confident. Each character, each adventure, changes her a little bit. In the gun episode specifically, she plays pretend evil Pomni for fun. Her development is character growth and a change in her complexity. Gangle is timid, period. In certain circumstances, she can choose to come out of her shell, like when she is the manager of a fast food place or when she wants to shoot a Tommy gun, but the difference is that Gangle's timidness always returns at the end of the story. Gangle always resets, whereas Pomni is allowed to develop over time. I think that realistically, a Pomni would be frustrated with Gangle's lack of development. Pomni would see Gangle struggling the way that she used to struggle, but instead of growing, she keeps relapsing. From Pomni's perspective, that would be incredibly irritating, especially because Pomni is very caring and empathetic, which we'll talk about more when we get to her relationship with Kinger. As we see with Gangle and Zooble's relationship, she's better helped by learning from other people's accomplishments. Pomni and Kinger. Kinger needs a lot of looking after? Care? His story is sad and he frustrates people with how you need to take care of him.
My comedy mask is broken again.
Ah! Oh! Gangle, you startled me.
And Pomni is empathetic and sticks up for him.
Whatever happens, I'm going to put my trust in Kinger.
He's got a lot of wisdom buried in there, doesn't he?
I think this comes to a head in the fake escape episode, where she feels compelled to let him push the button because it's the right thing to do in her mind. She's supposed to offer it to him, even though she knows that logically this doesn't make sense, so she's internally conflicted by the actual practical ramifications of doing this, but still feels like it's the right thing to do, even though everyone else knows it would not be the right decision. Her compulsion to take care of him will inevitably lead to worse and worse outcomes for him as her sympathy turns into enabling. Pomni and Ragatha's relationship is very easy to talk about because Ragatha is a fake friend. This is going to be her problem with most of the cast. She pretends to be nice to ingratiate herself and make friends with everyone, but they can all see through it and it puts them off. Pomni's already tired of her BS at the start of episode 2.
Look, Pomni, we're already friends with the princess.
I'm not a child, you don't have to hype me up.
And Ragatha is mean to Gangle in the fast food episode.
No offense, but you're kind of annoying when you have your happy mask.
She's also jealous of Jax trying to steal Pomni away when that's not what's happening.
Oh yeah, Pomni. I can show you that thing in the hall I was talking about.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's as if she actually thinks that Pomni having another friend is taking her friendship away, when that's not how that works.
I know exactly what you're doing with Pomni, and it'll never work!
Huh?
You know, getting close with Pomni. To corrupt her.
I think of all the characters, she's the most likely to actually change. Pomni clearly does not hate Ragatha, and most of Pomni's stresses in the show come from her interactions with the other characters. I think that Ragatha would annoy Pomni forever trying to be her best friend, while Pomni might have other tastes and want to hang out with other people sometimes. Pomni and Jax is the most complicated relationship in the show because both of them change so much during its runtime. It's hard to extrapolate how they would be if they were left together for eternity, because from the beginning of the show to the end, they've already changed. I think Jax's problems are like a bit of everyone else's combined into one person, where he constantly relapses and doesn't need a pep talk. He needs something other than sympathy, and sympathy will actually enable his bad behavior. He will constantly draw Pomni's emotional energy as she feels compelled to fix him. Like Ragatha, he is also fake, but unlike her, he isn't doing it to ingratiate himself with other people. He's doing it because he thinks he has a role to play, and also probably to protect himself from attachments, because having attachments before has caused him extreme internal suffering when he loses those people. Pomni's desire to see the real person underneath would likely never be fulfilled in a friendship with Jax. Pomni wants to fix Jax, and Jax will only ever be fixed if given tough love, and Pomni will never give him tough love, so they would not bring out the best in one another. So to summarize, Pomni and Zooble are neutral, but everyone else is certainly causing her conflict, if not direct pain in her life. Now let's look at Zooble's relationship with everyone. It'll be kinda quick. Zooble and Ragatha hardly ever interact. Zooble is annoyed by Kinger, even if they care about him as, like, a person. Zooble is annoyed by Jax and has a strong dislike of him because of how he treats everyone, especially Gangle. While not as antagonistic as Ragatha, I think that Zooble is just tired of his shtick.
There's that time you ran me over with a steamroller, the time you pushed Gangle into a pool of piranhas, when you set me on fire, mailed me a pipe bomb, threw me into an active volcano. I could go on.
Zooble and Gangle have the only positive relationship in the entire show. The scene where Zooble talks about their struggles and realize that they've always been an inspiration to Gangle, and that while they still feel that their struggle is unfixable, unconcluded, still ongoing, they realize that they have accomplished something, and that allows them to help their friend.
Jax is gonna be mad that I didn't team up with him. He probably wants revenge. And he's gonna make it painful.
Hey, you deserve better than thinking about him when he's not even here. You're a human. You're not his toy.
It sometimes doesn't feel that way.
These Avatar gimmicks, huh? Makes you wonder why no one else got them.
How are you supposed to like the part of yourself that just makes you worse than everyone else?
You have to choose to love yourself, even if it doesn't make sense.
You ever had to make that choice?
Huh?
Sorry, I mean, of course not. You're Zooble.
Whatever happens, I've got your back if you've got mine.
Yeah. Now let's go kill Pomni and Jax.
So Zooble, while things are mostly negative, has some neutrals and has a positive, so that is very nice. Gangle and Caine hardly ever interact, but he is kind to her. I'm still putting this in neutral because his lapses in memory negatively impact everyone. Being kind in the gun episode doesn't mean if they were to spend eternity together, she would think that he was the coolest person to be around, because his lack of memory often causes other issues. Same with Gangle and Ragatha. While Ragatha's fakeness impacts her relationship with everyone, she is mean to Gangle specifically in the fast food episode.
No offense, but you're kind of annoying when you have your happy mask.
But also stands up to Jax on Gangle's behalf. I'm putting this in the negative category because it does seem like they have more conflict than friendship. When Ragatha defends Gangle from Jax, she doesn't go and help Gangle up, she just yells at Jax.
Why do you always gotta do this?
What? I just said it was an accident.
Unbelievable! You are unbelievable!
Hey, Gangle, I think I found something you might like.
So while it's not openly antagonistic, I still wouldn't say that it is positive. And Gangle and Jax are not good together whatsoever. He constantly bullies her, and Gangle's breakdown scene with Zooble about how he's basically psychologically torturing her is one of the most painful things to watch in the entire show. Let's move on to Ragatha and the pairings we haven't already discussed. Ragatha and Caine. Caine is nice to Ragatha. They've been together the longest and have a very nice conversation when Caine is lucid. I think it speaks a lot about Ragatha's personality that over the decade plus that she's been in the circus with Caine, she never had a real conversation with him. But Pomni did, just a few days after she arrived. I'm not saying Ragatha doesn't care about Caine, but I am saying that he is like a weight on the entire group. So while these two have a bond, it is still negative. And Ragatha and Jax are the worst pairing in the entire series, and I think that is self-evident. I think that is stated in the text. They enjoy the adventures the most, and in the narrative, honestly, I think they act almost like a brother and a sister playing together. I know that sounds weird, but like, they actually roleplay when they're going on the adventures. It's just that Ragatha bows down to the princess, and Jax lets the monster into the village. It's like if the sister is playing a tea party and wants the brother to be involved, and the brother comes over with a Godzilla toy and knocks all the teacups off the table, and so the sister starts yelling at him. These two would drive each other insane forever. So I've already talked about all the pairings, but from Caine's perspective, the only person who I think is good for him is Pomni, and I think for everyone else, it's apathy that's the problem. So, here's our question. Are these characters literally designed to torture each other for eternity? And here is our answer. No, because this doesn't have the same moral as No Exit. In No Exit, the story ends with the characters realizing their fates and saying,
hell is other people.
The gang in the Amazing Digital Circus are dysfunctional, and every relationship besides Gangle and Zooble is bad. To stretch these relationships out to eternity would literally cause infinite suffering for the entire group. But I do not believe that is how the show is going to end, because all of these characters have shown their ability to change and grow over time. All of them, if given the right conditions, can go from dysfunction to function. Pomni wouldn't have to fix everyone if they worked on themselves. Ragatha wouldn't be off-putting if she stopped being jealous and hiding behind her fake kindness. Caine wouldn't be a problem if everyone gave him more respect and patience. Jax needs to get over himself. Honestly, I think he's right there on the line. I think this scene...
Oh my god. This is real.
Is the moment that his character changed, and this is when he's going to start allowing himself to grow. Zooble can learn to be less apathetic. Their apathy is usually toward the adventures, not the people in the circus, but by not going on the adventures, they end up not really bonding with the people. It's the reason I keep saying they don't really have structured relationships with main characters like Pomni. So Zooble can learn to participate more. I don't know if I can say that Gangle really needs to change. Like, saying that Gangle needs to change is like saying that Kinger just needs to become sane again, and that's not really possible. I think that Gangle looking up to and being inspired by Zooble is really good, but that's not the kind of problem that can just go away. So her development is kind of hard to predict how it could become better. But besides her, each character has the capacity to work on their flaws, and I believe many have as the series has gone on. There's a parable that goes that the good place and the bad place are actually the same place. That in the afterlife you're seated at a table with the most delicious food possible in front of you, but your arm is stuck in place and you can't actually bend your elbow to bring the food to your mouth. In the bad place, they sit there in torment forever, as they can't eat the delicious food that is right in front of them. In the good place, they can enjoy the food, because everyone just feeds the person beside them. The circus can be eternal torture or bliss, depending on the actions of the characters. So here's how I think the Amazing Digital Circus will end. The characters will realize that they can't leave. Period. The community calls this Soma theory. Basically, the idea is that they're digital mind copies of real people, not actual humans who can leave the circus. There is no escape. I think they'll reprogram Caine or a Caine-like entity to be glitchless, to be the AI that he was supposed to be. I think the abstracted characters will unabstract, and I think that Goose said at one point that that's not going to happen. I think it will. Every character will realize that while no one is perfect, they each complement each other in certain ways. Pomni will likely say a line that is similar to, "Heaven is other people," and the show will end with them going on another adventure, with the final line probably coming from Jax, saying something to the effect of, "Let's get on with it." It could be more whimsical, it could be like, "Let's go on another adventure." Or maybe Pomni will say it. "Let's take our big, loving family and go on these fun adventures forever." The end. Do I think this will literally happen? I'm pretty sure. It's like, would I put money on this? No. If I had to choose what I think the ending will be, would this be my choice? Yes. It's the reverse of the ending of No Exit. The show is about making the best out of a confining, constricting situation, and the idea is that love is better than hate. And maybe we can extract this to the real world and any relationship that you're in, and maybe like your job or your friends or whatever. And that's how I think the show's gonna end in like 2 weeks when the show comes out. We'll see. This video will be outdated real quick, so maybe before the show comes out, you should share it with every single person you know, hype it if you're on mobile, like and subscribe to GiBi's Good Idea, Bad Idea for more analysis like this, to see my eventual analysis of the entire show. And more importantly than any of that, I hope you have a good day. I hope you're nice to each other in the comments. I hope you support the creators you admire. I hope that you don't lose sight of the things that are important to you. And remember that Pomni stands for People Order My Nutritious Ingredients. Because nutrition is important. So that's why Pomni is good. There should be 2 videos on screen. One of them is the one that's best recommended for your tastes, and the other is my most recent video. You should click on one or the other, or both. Just don't go anywhere else. Certainly don't leave the YouTube app and go and do something else, because that would hurt my channel. Please stay on my channel, or at the very least, stay on YouTube. I think you should stay right here. Sit down. Stay a while. Imagine that you're in the Amazing Digital Circus. These are going to be here for 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know if it's been 20 to 30 seconds yet, so I'm just going to keep yapping. My hat is also available on my merch store. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's reference. It says Aftari 8500 as a reference to William Afton.